Well, my friends, for this next segment, I want to bring in political commentator and the host of the Beau Davidson podcast. Let's bring in Beau Davidson. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Link. It's great to be with you.
Thanks for being here. I want to talk to you about Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, last night, Jimmy Kimmel came back on air. We're going to play you a clip. You tell me if you think Jimmy Kimmel is really expressing contrition, if he's sorry. Let's take a look at it.
But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear. Erica Kirk forgave the man who shot her husband. She forgave him. That is an example we should follow.
Okay, did you hear an apology in there? What was your take of Jimmy Kimmel's comeback last night?
Link, I don't think it was an apology. He's saying it wasn't his intention. I don't buy it. I'm sorry, because you don't say it. You know that your words matter. You've been doing this for 20-something odd years. You know what you're saying matters. You know that when people hear it, what rolls off the tongue is going to land on people, lest you don't make the joke. Now, I'm taking this with a mixed bag, Link, because what he said about Erica Kirk offering forgiveness to her husband's killer is worth noting. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. It's important to note that Jimmy said we should follow the teachings of Jesus as he believes. That's the first time I've really ever heard that. This is a unique moment, in our culture and our society right now to talk about Jesus, to talk about what our faith is. It just seems a little strange coming out of the mouth of someone who just trashes Donald Trump and the right and MAGA and Charlie Kirk and all of his followers on a daily basis. When he says it wasn't his intention, I don't see how there's any other intention to it, to say that this guy was anything other than MAGA. He has to know that it was blatantly false. And so when Jimmy Kimmel cries free speech and the government taking away his speech, I don't know if there's sincerity to it. I don't see it that way. I don't think the government forced his hand. It was a decision based upon capitalism and Sinclair's affiliates and Nexstar's affiliates. So when it comes to contrition, he stopped short of an apology. It's just so odd, Link, to hear him talk in one breath about faith in Jesus and how we should follow that example, and then spend the whole second half of his monologue trashing MAGA and Donald Trump. It's very difficult to take that. But I don't want to throw all of it away because there were moments of what I felt there were bright spots.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I would have respected him more as a man if he just said, you know what? I apologize. I am sorry. I screwed up, because every once in a while you got to just look into the camera and say, you know what? I really screwed up. But he really lied and obfuscated the truth on purpose. He knew when he went out there and said the guy was MAGA and he tried to paint Tyler Robinson as right wing. They knew it was a lie, but they were trying to do it to push a narrative that they thought their audience would like. I mean, my perception of him getting choked up was that he saw his career potentially slipping away for the first time in a long time. He's sort of been able to coast. He hasn't had to work that hard. He's been on TV talking to his niche audience, and for the first time he was rattled and thought his career was going to slip away. Could that be a part of it too, Beau? Maybe the reason for a little bit of the tears?
Yeah, and here's the thing, Link, is I think Jimmy actually does have a heart. I've seen him cry about things before. They've just been kind of like he uses it in the wrong way and at the wrong time. My mom always tells me there's two words that can really change relationships, that can change so many things. Those words are, I'm sorry. It's exactly what you said. The fact that he has to stop short of that and say, well, it wasn't my intention to, is stopping short of saying, I'm sorry. Why is it so hard to say? Why is it so hard to say that the senseless death of an innocent man is worth apologizing about when you mischaracterize his shooter? And to also to not just obfuscate, but to also to overlook the fact that the person who did this is coming from a segment of the ideological left that is brainwashed, that has taken up a militance, that thinks that violence is the solution. If you don't address that when you have such a national audience, you're missing an opportunity. And so to spend the rest of your monologue saying, well, Donald Trump is a Hitler, a Nazi, he's terrible, look at what Brendan Carr said, it kind of washes out what he said in the beginning. So I'm taking it with a mixed bag. And yes, I do think he might have seen his career flashing before his eyes a little bit. But when you make $15 million a year, Lincoln, you're so upset about what's going to happen to your staff, why not give some of that $15 million out to your staff? Would that be so hard for you to do? All these people, they don't practice what they preach.
Well, exactly, Beau. And that was my thing with Stephen Colbert, right? He was running a $40 million deficit. Why don't you take a little bit of a pay cut if you care so much about your staff? And, people keep saying this is a free speech issue. We've talked about this on here. I've talked about it on social media. To me, this was never a free speech issue. It wasn't the, government overreach, in my opinion. Clearly it wasn't, because the guy is back on air 2 days later. This was about capitalism. It was about you said something that was offensive and you got repercussions. If you go to work at McDonald's, right, and you go out there and you tell the customer something that's wrong or you lie, your manager could suspend you. That's life. I think Jimmy Kimmel, for the first time in years, being this Hollywood elite who hosts the Oscars, he got his ass handed to him and he was humbled. I think he was humbled for the first time in a long time. I don't know if you have any final thoughts. If not, we're going to move on to Kamala.
Just to say that when you have 72 affiliates that aren't running your show still, that's not that's not a loss of free speech. That's capitalism. As you just said, affiliate syndicates have a right to curtail what you say. And that doesn't mean that it's a free speech issue. It means that you've said something that borders the line of slander. And if anything, in this being a teachable moment and talking about faith and what we can point towards, it also should be a teachable moment for Jimmy and for others that are like him. You can't just keep saying the same words over and over again and not have repercussions.
Absolutely. Now, turning the tables over to Kamala Harris, she is back with this book tour, and it's pretty much a disaster. I forgot how much I enjoyed Kamala Harris's interviews because they're the gift that keeps on giving. But she went on The View because they needed one more insufferable woman on that table. She went on The View. She talked about how she didn't have enough time. The reason she lost the election is because she didn't have enough time. Let's take a look at that clip.
I felt so good going into Election Day, and then I read in the book that you did too. I went into Election Day thinking you were going to win. Yeah. So did you.
Yeah, I did.
So, it was a very tight race, but ultimately, if you have to pin it down to one thing, what was the primary reason, do you think, that you lost?
There are many factors, I think, that played into the outcome of that election. But I think probably one of the biggest in my mind is we just didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough time.
Oh, yeah.
Beau, are you buying this? We need a new segment. Is Beau buying it? I'm not buying it for a myriad of reasons because she didn't even give interviews for 40 days. She went 40 days without doing an interview. Do you think that was the reason she lost? Because she just didn't have enough time, Beau.
Not enough time? No, Kamala. You didn't have enough brains. You didn't have enough policies. You didn't have enough complete sentences. And look at your running mate, Tim Walz, and you got the nerve to get up there and say that Pete Buttigieg was too gay to be your VP. Did you see who you had? You had a guy that got up there was completely incompetent. He might not be gay, but you know what? He sure is incompetent, and he certainly didn't help you. I personally think Pete Buttigieg would have helped Kamala Harris. And to say it was close, are you kidding me? He mopped the floor with her in terms of the Electoral College. It's so disingenuous. It's just trying to find excuse after excuse for someone who was a terrible candidate and was never, people just didn't believe in her. She's not authentic.
Absolutely. She couldn't give answers. And then when she was asked on The View, how are you different from Joe Biden? She said, not a thing comes to mind. I really think if Kamala Harris had started out day one, let's say the day Biden drops out, she just lets those walls down and said, look, we're going to do interviews. We're going to let the press in. The way President Trump just lets the press in all the time. He'll sit there and take questions for hours. Even if you say the wrong thing, even if you put your foot in your mouth sometimes as a politician, at least you're open and transparent. I think Kamala Harris was just focus grouped to death. Did you ever feel like Kamala Harris was too worried about saying the right thing and instead of just saying what she actually believed?
Probably, but also in looking, Link, at this rehearsed performance that was on The View. That's what I call it. It was a performance. It was so rehearsed. It was meticulously crafted and planned. And still, guess what? It was devoid of any content, of any valuable information that we could use. This is why she lost. If Kamala could just go back and look at the tape, it's what athletes do all the time. Watch the tape. You'll see that you're devoid of anything that is authentic, that is informative, that makes people's lives better, that gives them hope, that gives them optimism. Joe Biden at least did that kind of earlier part of his career. Obama did it. She doesn't have it. And she doesn't understand that this is why she lost. And to see those six lackeys get up there and say, oh, yeah, didn't have enough time. Yeah. And it was so close, by the way. It was just so close. Are you kidding me? This is the maniacal insanity that we see on a daily basis. And I think it's just ridiculous.
Absolutely. Now, one last clip. I don't want to make the audience sick, you guys. We have one last clip of Kamala Harris talking about how she grieved the election loss. Let's look at that one.
I've always on election night done family and friends and dinner. But that night, I grieved in a way that I have not since my mother died.
Wow.
And the pain was, it was not at all about losing a race. I knew what it was going to mean for the country. I was going to say for the family. And that's how I felt, for the country.
We all agree.
I knew what it was going to mean.
Yeah.
But I knew.
Yeah.
And all I could say over and over again is, my God, my God, my God.
Okay. I call BS on this for two reasons. Number one, if she actually loved and cared about the country, she would have done the work as vice president for 4 years. She wouldn't have overseen the worst invasion ever at the southern border, and she was put in charge of the southern border. Beau, what do you think about what she had to say?
Hollow, devoid of anything, again, as I said, anything authentic. You haven't grieved like that since your mother died? Well, then you need to do some more grieving, because that's pretty pathetic. I just think that she's, again, just as we watch this tape, you could play it over and over again, and no one's going to take anything more away from it than no one cares. You lost, and as you astutely just said, you had 4 years of a vice presidency where you could have done something. You could have stopped the unfortunate flow across our border, the fentanyl that is killing all these people under the age of 45. You were put in charge of that, and you failed. So, see, here's the thing. We had a track record of her to run on, which didn't matter if she came out and she said anything to the press. We saw what she was running on, which was hollow. And then when you do speak, you don't have anything to add to that. Then your first decision, which everybody knows as potential president, is to pick your vice president. And you pick Tim Walz. Automatically, I know you're not a good decision maker. And you've proven it time and time again. No retroactive 2020 vision going on The View is going to change that. The reason why you lost is because you don't have the policies, and you also don't have the authenticity to make people believe that you can make it better for their family. And that's just the simple, honest truth.
No, you're totally right. And my second reason, okay, I call BS on her saying she grieved this, more than her mother, as much as when her mother died. It was 100 days. I have stuff that's been in my freezer, for years. I have stuff in the fridge, pizza that's been there longer. I got to clean it out. But she said 100 days. I mean, how invested could you be in something that you did for 100 days? I don't understand that. I was like Kim Kardashian's 72-day marriage. Remember Kim Kardashian was married for 72 days? I don't know how Kamala's grieving something. It was like 3 months. I mean, if she cared that much, it was only 3 months. But Kamala Harris, we hope she continues going to give interviews, and we wish you well, Kamala. I think she's hoping this book will sell, and she can just go live as a rich LA woman. Now, speaking of no, go on.
And don't discount that she could run in 2028. She has not completely ruled that out yet, and God help us if she does. But hey, let her run. No,
please, Kamala, if you're listening to this, if you're watching our podcast, you're amazing. You're a once-in-a-generation talent. We need you to
run. Baby, run.
Run, yes. Run like Usain Bolt. Run like Bruce in the decathlon. Okay, speaking of Democratic elites, we got to finish by talking about the Obamas on vacation. Now, Barack Obama has gone out there and spoken about, Charlie Kirk's assassination, some of the recent events in our country. He's still a very divisive figure anytime Barack Obama goes out there. Michelle Obama as well. She says very divisive things. They still seem to look down on the rest of the country from their, mansion in Martha's Vineyard. What do you think about them being on vacation on Steven Spielberg's $250 million, 357-foot luxury super yacht in the Italian Riviera? Doesn't this just speak to this sort of elitism in the Democratic Party, that they want to go online and tell us how to live our lives, and then you come to find out because they're pictures that they're on a super yacht in Italy?
Yeah, Link, I don't know if you have the picture or you'll be able to put it up, but I don't know what the hell Michelle Obama
We can't afford the picture.
Getting on that yacht
in
the Canadian tuxedo. I hope we don't have to put that on your viewers, but it's pretty atrocious. It was like people of Walmart. I mean, if I'm going to the Italian Riviera, that ain't what I'm wearing. I'm just saying that. I mean, like, this is ridiculous what the woman is wearing. I'm sorry, I have to point that out. It's such like a fashion faux pas. Like, I'd be like, that's my wife getting on that yacht? Are you kidding me? With Steven Spielberg? Dress a little bit better, honey. But as you pointed out, with Barack and Michelle, they are divisive figures. And I think about the comments that Obama made about Charlie Kirk. One of the first things he said was, "We don't know yet what motivated the killer." Are you kidding me? How disingenuous is that? You know exactly what it was. Everybody knows what it was that motivated him. And then look at the shooting at ICE. as well, the Dallas ICE facility. Do we know what maybe motivated that shooter? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a radical ideological position from the left that believes that violence and killing is the answer. This is the part of the mind virus they just don't get. And so this is why people still look up to the Obamas as like the de facto leaders of the Democratic Party, and they still swing and miss. You know, you got Kamala, who's hollow. When Barack speaks, it's so much more fluid and effortless and erudite. But the problem is that what he says gives you just a bad feeling. Like, where was the optimism and hope, the hope and change that you called for? In one breath, you say, it's so tragic that Charlie lost his life, but we don't know what the motivation of the killer was. That's so intellectually dishonest. And in addition to the fashion faux pas and the fact that that was a horrendous outfit that Michelle had on, I would just say that they refuse to see that there is a woke, well, not just woke, but there's a mind virus from the ideological left. And I look at what happened in the Dallas ICE facility. I look at Charlie Kirk's shooter, and I see it's no different from Islamic terrorism, because these people now, Link, are willing to die. They're willing to shoot themselves. They're willing to be shot at, to die. It's no different from Islamic terrorism. And the problem is that, yes, there are kooks on the right, let's be honest, but the ones coming from the left that are now taking it upon themselves to shoot other people because they disagree with them, it's unfortunately spreading. It's a cancer that's spreading. And Barack Obama, in being a leader on the left, needs to step out and speak about it. He has an opportunity to. And I'm sorry, when you're waving from the Italian Riviera as you get on your $250 million yacht that Steven Spielberg owns, it rings hollow. It just seems tone deaf.
It totally seems tone deaf, especially at a time when Americans feel like the American dream is less attainable on the left. They feel like, look, we had sky-high inflation under Biden. We can't afford homes when Democrats are in power. And then you see Barack Obama and Michelle Obama on a massive yacht in the Italian Riviera. It's not good for the Democratic brand. And I don't think Barack Obama helped Kamala Harris at all with this re-election or her election last summer. I don't think he helped her at all. I mean, he was trying to scold these young black men into voting for her. She's one of you. She's one of you. And the guys are like, why should we have to vote just based off of skin color? I guess that's the last thing I'd love to ask you before we round out this segment. Kamala Harris, something we spoke about earlier in the show, she's kind of blaming her loss on misogyny and skin color. And then, you know, her comments about Pete Buttigieg, it seems like they're just so much more focused on identity politics. I don't think Kamala's gender or skin color had anything to do with her overwhelming loss. I think it was just her track record. Don't you kind of call a flag on the play with her saying it's gender and race?
Definitely a flag, absolutely. But it's the way she's trying to legitimize the loss. And I'll just say this to people. I think that America is ready for a female president, but they've got to be ready for the right female president. They're ready for someone who's even black, who's minority, who's Latino. Those are all great things, but you don't lead with those things. Those are just, look at Marco Rubio. He doesn't lead with the fact that he's Latino. It just so happens he is the son of a bartender Cuban immigrant. That's part of his story, and it's very compelling. But Marco has led by example, from son of an immigrant to senator to now Secretary of State. He's not leading with his skin. He's leading with the content of his character and his leadership and what he aims to do. So when Democrats have this branding issue, which I think they do, which is, oh, it was because I lost because I was gay. I lost because I was a female. I lost because I was black. None of that is true. We had the first African-American president, did we not? People can see beyond skin color, but you've got to give them something to believe in. And Kamala's inauthenticity and being disingenuous is exactly why she lost. She just refuses to see it that way. So the more Democrats can look inward at their hearts and at their character and what they can offer people, they'll do better off, I think, with the populace. But until then, blaming it on ideological or identity politics is not going to help them in the long run at all. And we're seeing that play out because they just keep losing. And I think Gavin Newsom is trying to pick up some of that slack. He thinks he's the next Charlie Kirk. Good luck with that, buddy.
No, Gavin Newsom does not even come close to having sort of the political skill of Charlie Kirk. But no, hopefully the Democrats come to learn at some point that we want a merit-based society. We want you to exceed no matter what skin color, gender. And that's how President Trump is. He doesn't care at all. I mean, people say Scott Bessent's gay. Oh my God, he's a gay cabinet member. Trump's like, no, he's just a cabinet member who's excellent and good at his job. So I'm so grateful.
And Rick Grinnell too. And I'll just say this in closing, Link, is just that I think that the left and Democrats specifically have a real opportunity right now to come together with a lot of the right to say we've got to stamp out this ideological extremism. It's just that there's no tolerance for it. And forget the Jimmy Kimmel, forget all that stuff that's going on kind of on the periphery. There's an opportunity right now to say, as Americans, the ideals that we believe in, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, these are things that we believe in, and we've got to stamp it out from the far right and the far left. Unfortunately, a lot of it's coming from the left. And when it's your team and when it's your side, what do? You cut that cancer out. You address the team and you say, this can't happen. And if you see it happening, you better let us know. That's what Barack Obama, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, you name it, that's what they need to be doing. And they need to lead by example. They need to lead by faith too. A lot of them are people who go to church and are Christians, and they should be leading with that. They should follow Erica Kirk's example.
Absolutely. I think there are many people who could follow Erica Kirk's example, but I am not holding my breath that the Democrats are going to learn from their mistakes. But Beau Davidson, thank you so much for coming on. We wanted you to come on for so long. I'm so grateful. I hope you'll come back. I want to come on your show. Have an amazing rest of the week. Thank you for coming on.
Anytime. Thank you, Link. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.